The man who saved Ethiopia from colonialism at the Battle of Adwa, Emperor Menelik II, born Sahle Maryam in 1844, was one of Ethiopia's most transformative leaders, serving as the emperor from 1889 until his death in 1913. His reign is most notable for securing Ethiopian sovereignty against Italian colonization at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, a pivotal moment that marked Ethiopia as the only African nation to successfully resist European colonial power during the age of imperial conquest. Menelik's early life was marked by turbulence. After the death of his father, the king of Shewa, Menelik was captured by Emperor Tewodros II and held captive for 10 years, during which time he received a royal education alongside the emperor's children. He escaped captivity in 1865, returning to Shewa, where he eventually declared himself king. As emperor, Menelik II embarked on an ambitious program of modernization and expansion, extending the empire's boundaries nearly to its current limits. His modernization efforts included the introduction of a national currency, construction of significant infrastructure such as railways and telegraph lines, and the establishment of modern schools and hospitals. The Battle of Adwa was a defining moment in Menelik II's reign and in African history. When Italy attempted to establish a protectorate over Ethiopia via a manipulated treaty, Menelik effectively mobilized a massive army that defeated the Italian forces, ensuring Ethiopian independence and making a profound statement against colonial domination. This victory had a lasting impact on Pan-Africanism and the global perception of African resistance to colonial rule. Menelik's reign ended with his health decline around 1909, and he passed away in 1913, leaving a legacy characterized by both his defense of Ethiopian sovereignty and significant modernization efforts that propelled Ethiopia into the 20th century as a unified and independent nation. Menelik II began large-scale modernization, which included bringing back a national currency, constructing buildings for improved educational facilities and ministries, installing a railway from Djibouti to the new capital of Addis Ababa, and establishing the first telephone and telegraph systems in the empire. Sometime in 1906, Menelik II became very ill. He suffered a massive paralytic stroke on October 25, 1909, causing power to pass to his wife, Empress Taytu. Menelik II was married 3 times, to Altash Tewodros, 1864-1865, Bafana Gachu, 1865-1882, and Taytu Betel, 1883-1913. He had no children with his wives, but several other children by other women that he recognized. Emperor Menelik II died in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on December 12, 1913 at the age of 69. The next major leader of all of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, was not crowned until 1930. King Solomon of, according to Kebra Nagast, a 14th century national epic. In the 10th century BC, he is said to have inaugurated the Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia, so named because Menelik I was the son of the biblical King Solomon of ancient Israel and of Makeda, the queen of Sheba. Menelek's father was Haile Malyk, later Negus, king of Shewa. His mother was a court servant who married Haile Malyk shortly after Sahle Maryam was born. His forefathers had been rulers of Menz, the heartland of Shewa, since the 17th century, and it has been claimed that further back they were related to the Solomonid line of emperors who ruled Ethiopia between 1268 and 1854. Alternate dates: 1270, 1855. The crown name Menelik II was significant. Menelik I was the legendary son of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, Makeda. In 1855, the vigorous emperor of Ethiopia, Tewodros II, invaded the then semi-independent kingdom of Shewa. Early in the subsequent campaigns, Haile Malyk died, and Sahle Maryam was captured and taken to the emperor's mountain stronghold, Amba Magdala. In nearly 10 years of captivity, he had opportunity to observe Tewodros's dedication to the unification and modernization of the empire, and also the heavy-handed and often violent methods that ultimately led to the emperor's failure and suicide. Sahle Maryam contrived to escape from Magdala in 1865 and returned to Shewa, which had remained in a state of sporadic unrest and revolt against Tewodros. Although only 21 years of age, he was able to displace Bezebe, who had been appointed ruler by the emperor in 1859, and subsequently declared himself Negus of the province. Sahle Maryam stood 6 feet tall and had a dark complexion and fine white teeth, but smallpox had left its marks on his face. As a diplomat, he made a great impression on the foreign emissaries who visited his court. With their help, he imported firearms, the better to equip his armies and the garrisons and settlers that came in their wake. On the death of Tewodros in 1868, Sahle Maryam, as Negus of Shewa, aspired to the position of emperor, but he was not the only claimant. He had to submit first to Tekle Georgis, 1868-72, and Johannes IV, 1872-89. Before Johannes died fighting the Sudanese in 1889, he obliged Sahle Maryam to direct his ambitions mainly to the south and east. Sahle Maryam subsequently incorporated Arusi, Harar, Jima, Kifa, Kaffa, and the several kingdoms and states of southern Ethiopia within his domains. By the time of Johannes's death, Sahle Maryam had emerged as the strongest man in Ethiopia and was able to assume the imperial crown for which he had waited so long. During the period of his rivalry with Emperor Johannes IV and the latter's son, Mengesha, Menelik appeared to befriend the Italians, but a quarrel later developed. The Italians interpreted Article 17 of the Treaty of Ucciali, concluded in 1889 by the Italians and Menelik, as giving Italy a protectorate over Ethiopia. It is quite inconceivable that Menelik would have agreed to his historic country becoming a protectorate. When he learned of the Italian interpretation, which was gaining some acceptance in Europe, he at once denied it, and in 1893 renounced the whole treaty. The Italians had established themselves along the Red Sea coast, and the governor of the Italian colony of Eritrea, after much intrigue and several minor military skirmishes, risked a major confrontation. The Italian army was defeated by the Ethiopians in one of the greatest battles in the history of Africa, the Battle of Adwa, on March 1, 1896. A settlement after the battle cancelled the Treaty of Ucciali and acknowledged the full sovereignty and independence of Ethiopia, but the Italians were allowed to retain Eritrea. After Adwa, Menelik's Ethiopia was at once accepted by the European powers as a real political force. The crushing defeat of a European army greatly enhanced Menelik's international reputation, causing a host of foreign advisors, ambassadors, emissaries, and adventurers to flow into the country. Shewa was the residence of regional kings from the mid-10th century to the end of the 14th century. In 1528, Shewa was overrun by Muslim invaders from the state of Adal to the east, and its ancient cities were destroyed. For over a century afterward, Shewa was penetrated by the Oromo people from the south, who moved into the political vacuum left in the region and established themselves in farming communities as far north as the Blue Nile Valley. In 1856, Shewa was incorporated into the Ethiopian Empire by the Emperor Tewodros, Theodore II, but Menelik II regained his kingdom of Shewa, and in 1886 chose the site for Addis Ababa, his future capital. Menelik's victory over the Italians gave him significant credibility with the European powers, bolstered his mandate at home, and provided the Ethiopian kingdom with a period of peace in which it was able to expand and flourish, in contrast to most of the rest of the African continent at that time, which was embroiled in colonial conflicts. Various treaties concluded with Italy, France, and Great Britain in the years up to 1908 fixed the borders of Ethiopia with the neighboring territories ruled by the European powers.